Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Inshallah, your afternoon is going well. This is my afternoon. Southern California traffic at 2:30 in the afternoon. That means there's already rush hour. Traffic here is either bad or insanely bad. Anyway, had a couple of interesting comments that I received about me commenting on the issue of, Muslims in America, secularity, and in particular my addressing some comments by Linda Sarsour. And one of them that came up was this idea of, there's another imam mansplaining Islam to a woman. And I want to address this because you cannot have it both ways. If you want to step into the octagon of fiqh, if you want to step into the octagon of a'imma, right, of imamhood, if you want to step into the octagon of jurisprudence, of leadership, well, you can't have it both ways, that you can step in there and make whatever proclamations you want as a woman, but then also have your statements essentially protected and free from any criticism simply because you are a woman. Now, I'm not saying that should not go without certain considerations, right? Certainly we should not, I might address a man in a certain way that, in terms of intensity, that I would not address a woman, and I agree with that. But I think what I said certainly didn't step across any bounds, and we also cannot try to deflect any legitimate criticism of proclamations or statements made by women in our community, deflect any observation or criticism of those under the guise of, that's just mansplaining. That's not how it works. And that's where I keep doubling down on, where are Muslims getting their cues from? Where are they getting their playbook from? And where do we get these notions of how to, how to arrange the pieces on the chessboard? How are we determining this? This is of her being a woman to essentially bestow upon her a kind of isma, right? A kind of infallibility, a kind of inviolability that she cannot be reproached. And again, this simply won't pass muster. And if you do not want to have your ideas subject to criticism, if you don't want to have you should seek kinder, greener pastures. Because to be frank, this is what I have to deal with as a man and as an imam all the time. I have to have, whether I'm giving a khutbah, right? Whether I'm giving a sermon, a dars, a lecture, a halaqah, a khaltad, a short talk, a Facebook post, a social media post, whatever that I'm going to talk about as a man and as an imam, like that is out there, and people are going, people, it is wide open for people to criticize. And trust me, they do all the time. And I accept that as part of the rules of engagement, that I am not inviolable. I am not beyond criticism. I am not beyond disagreement. And most importantly, obviously, I'm not beyond the possibility of being wrong. I mean, I'm not all-knowing, all-powerful. I am capable of mistakes. I will say this, though. When I do try to make public statements, I am going to at least do my due diligence to come with proofs. Obviously, from the Book of Allah, from the Sunnah, from our tradition, and so forth. And even within that, those statements, I cannot just say, well, this is from the Book of Allah, that's the end of the story. My words are still going to be vulnerable to criticism. This is how it works. And this is where I feel that we really need to push back. If our community is going to legitimately support the development of woman Muslim scholars, then part of that development has to be an honest description of what that's going to be like, meaning you have to be willing to defend with adab, right? I mean, again, I do believe that men should not address women as they address men. That aside, from a sort of comportment etiquette point of view, you got to be ready to defend your points of view. And if you can't, either through your inability, lack of knowledge, or simply don't want to, then this is not the octagon for you. And if you talk to legitimate female Muslim scholars, they will tell you exactly this. هذا هو. This is what it is. Now, I'm not saying that there may be indeed some Muslim men, imams or otherwise, scholars or otherwise, laity or otherwise, that might indeed have a chauvinistic attitude when women speak and just dismiss it out of pocket. That's just some woman. I don't deny that exists. In fact, I'm quite confident that it does. But because it does, we cannot jump to that and say anytime a man criticizes a statement of a woman, this is so-called mansplaining. This is just not how it works. Again, this kind of attitude is emblematic of an immature mind that would be better suited to actually go back to school, so to speak, sit down and learn your religion before you go into the octagon. I mean, that's like a person who is fat, out of shape, has scoliosis, halitosis, and expialidocious, and wants to get in the ring with Khabib, and then complains that Khabib is pinning them to the mat. You're getting pinned to the mat because you're not capable of engaging, and you haven't done the due diligence of what's required to engage in that circle. So I just wanted to leave this here before we get into critiquing either what I'm saying about Linda Sarsour or what any man might say about any other Muslim female, whether she be a scholar, activist, laity, or otherwise, to dismiss those observations as nothing other than crass, unadulterated chauvinism. You're going to have to come with something better than that, or maybe you ought to sit this one out. So anyway, jazakumullahu khairan. Have a great weekend. Assalamu alaikum.